When we're talking about the Honda Accord being ruined by the latest update, I think you can qualify it. And I think it's basically in the details, not in the overall shape of the car. Has a lot of shaping and contouring and sinews that create a lot of visual motion, a lot of muscularity, and a lot of dynamic movement in a static object. So the 2019 Honda Accord had more of a hatchback shape with a longer hood design, and of course it still had a traditional trunk, but it had more of a hatchback shape, and that further exaggerated the longer hood length. It also had a really strong belt line right through here, as well as more exaggerated front and rear flares over the wheels. It had a deeply sculpted front end with a highly defined grille that actually almost opened up in a jaw-like shape. It had a very aggressive headlight shape that was further exaggerated by being cut in slightly along each underside of the grille, which has a two-piece design or a three-piece design that cuts in around here. Also has strong ridges across the hood lines, which exaggerate a couple of things. They make it appear more muscular. They do that as well as make it appear lower than it is, which is always a positive. The basic idea with a sporty design in a car is evocative of a predatory animal. When you look at something like a predatory animal, you see that there's a lot of muscular shapes coming through on the front legs, the rear legs, and the torso of the animal. Human beings naturally recognize that this is a threat, this is dangerous, this is powerful. It evokes strength, it evokes force, and when you're designing a vehicle, it's the same idea. You want to evoke those same shapes, those same muscular lines over the wheel wells, over the around the headlights, along the hood line, because in its most basic concept, a car that's designed to look like a predatory animal is going to look more aggressive. When you now look at the 2023 Accord Sport, same trim, just a different color, and I would argue this is a metallic silver, so this has even more contouring than it probably would in just a gloss color. They've eliminated all of the character lines. That really strong belt line that carried through right here, this one is gone. They flattened it out. That nice big opening, that gape right here around the lower fog light bezel, they got rid of it. They just put this really, this looks like a Swedish car. This looks a lot like a Saab. A very conservative, low-key design. And I'm not saying that this is a bad look, but I'm just saying that it is removing character from the car. It's removing character, it's removing the excitement, the interest. So many people like this design. This was Honda really stepping away from a very, very utilitarian design, very practical, and this whole generation, I would say 2016 and on, stepping away from the very boring, flat cars of the past like this design and becoming a lot more interesting, charismatic. So looking at the front, again, we get rid of this deep cut grille that extends all the way down here, and now we're making it really short. This further makes the front of the car look pointed. When you create a large, dark contrasting color in the middle of a large square shape, it tends to widen that shape really quickly. They took the front of the vehicle they took this shape basically, which has these nice big, just sketching here, but nice big openings like that with a nice big grille. They get rid of that and they go to this. See how that just kind of looks like the mouth of a lion? It's kind of got that wide open effect. can imagine the lion's teeth, or a snake, some kind of vicious animal opening up that shape right there, kind of that hexagonal shape. They get rid of that and they go to, I mean, comparatively, this looks like a vacuum cleaner. Now, this is a style. This is a style. This would be more minimalist. This is probably what some people really enjoy. They don't want their car to be exciting. They want their car to disappear. And I think this is the way that the modern car culture is going in some areas. But cars in general are becoming less of a personal expression in the general market and more of a utility. There's more and more regulation, there's more and more efficiency requirements on cars, and so they have to make them more and more efficient. They have to cost cut, they have to, and to do that, you have to cut performance, you have to cut the sizes of wheels, you have to reduce the amount of sound deadening material, you have to do a lot of tricks to make things work. And one of the tricks is making a car more aerodynamic. So if you make a car more aerodynamic, if you smooth it out, usually that's going to play to your advantage. 1950s automobile design was the epitome of that. It was taking that and using it as a style element and expression to the extreme. But the Honda Accord is being dumbed down. Let's look at the back end of the car. All right, so here's the rear of the 2019 Accord Sport. A couple of quick observations. We have two distinct taillight designs with a visual contour here cut in. If this was, for example, body colored, this light would have a really nice sculpted shape to it. We have a somewhat prominent molded in spoiler with a little adhesive spoiler element added on. We have two chrome finished exhausts. We have kind of a nice homage to a rear diffuser right here. But other than that, we have a nice little bit of contouring here, right here, kind of curves out on the bumper, and a belt line that carries all the way through to the tail lights and then allows, it's kind of pulled in a little bit here, on here, and here, and that allows the rear fenders to be more exaggerated. Here we have the 2023 Accord Sport as well, also in the red, and we have an immediate difference right here. We have a monolithic rear taillight design. We have an element that extends all the way across the trunk to connect the two lights, and this immediately looks more minimalist. It flattens out the rear design of the vehicle. We have a softened rear trunk lid with a still retained tiny little lip spoiler, but we have less contouring on the trunk, we have less contouring on the bumpers. It's now just a simple, I'm not a designer again, this is not simple, but appears less complex geometry here on the rear bumper. And one of the big things here is the prior generation had a highly defined belt line that carried all the way through, that kind of cinched up right here and here to exaggerate these fender flares. And we've lost the chrome finished exhaust tips, and you can definitely see we don't have dual exhaust coming out the back, we have a single exhaust. And one of the big things mechanically is the Accord no longer can be had with that 2-liter turbo, so you have less power, a lot less power than the prior generation. So let me just illustrate. We have our nice exhausts on here, and then we have that really cool, really charismatic tail light, kind of comes up through here, cuts all the way down up to here. And I don't know why Honda did not just choose to update this taillight design. They've done that on prior generations. It basically seems like they just decided to completely upend their design philosophy on this car and just forget about it. Just say, we don't want this anymore. I really don't understand what they were thinking, because this design was so cool. They could have evolved it with some simple things. They could have done that monolithic kind of eyebrow design between the two lights, for example. They could have done other things, and it's just like they just dumped it. And I have no idea why they would need to do that. but just gives you the idea right there. But this area right here, this is really big. This is a big area. This and the taillight design, these are all big elements. They've taken every line, they've gotten rid of a lot of that character, and they've just smoothed it all out. Still got that little bit of that diffuser cut out in there. That's still there, but now it's definitely more minimalist. I think some people will like it better, but I think most people that are looking at these are just literally saying this is the newest thing, and I like it because it's new. And I think that's just a misunderstanding. That's just the simplicity, not understanding that there are truly ageless designs out there. Things like the Toyota GT2000, the Mazda RX-7, the Chevy Corvette in most generations. They all had some kind of unique personality and design language that made them beautiful in their own right. There's hundreds of other examples, but Honda took a really beautiful car, took away all of these really cool, deeply contoured, muscular shapes and accents and features, and just dumbed it down, smoothed it out to nothingness. And you could still have beautiful shapes without being busy. Civic type, the latest generation of the Civic, Honda Civic, I think they did a better job of smoothing everything out, making it look more sedate, more mature, without eliminating those nice lines. And it doesn't make any sense, but my guess is this is not driven by the emotional design, but more like a company philosophy that's probably changing. They don't want this anymore. They want this.